First contact with Joshua put.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing? Welcome back from the weekend. I hope that you had a good time. Hope the weekend was good for you. It was really beautiful out here in Southern California, nice and sunny all weekend long. So we've made it through in the Jewish calendar, the major month with all the major holidays. We'll have some coming up, holy days, holidays. You know, you can kind of interchange those two words to understand a little bit deeper meaning of what they are. We now are on to the 26th day of Tishri. That's on the Jewish calendar. And the Gregorian calendar, it is 16th of October, the year 2017. And of course, in the Jewish calendar, the year 5778. Our astrology for today, we have our sun sign is progressed to 23 degrees now. So 7 more degrees in this sign. So you can follow along so you can know when we move. It's like the big hand on the clock that slowly moves, except it's moving counterclockwise instead of clockwise. And the moon sign, I told you it was going to be making a transition from Leo on over into next sign, and here we are in Virgo. 15 degrees, so it's already halfway through Virgo, making its way into the next sign. All right, so let's take a quick look at what that represents. From the tarot cards, we know that this one represents the suit of Libra, our conscious mind, the astrological sign for this particular month. It's an air sign. It has to do with air. Air is representative of an expression of an idea. We express that idea either through words or through actions. You can tell it's by words because the representation of the suit of the symbol or the element of air is the suit of swords. Take the first letter S from swords, you're left with words. So swords represent words, and swords are representation of the symbol of air, or the element of air. Therefore, from air, we get words and or actions. Words or actions that are expressing the creative ideas that we have. Okay, so we get creative ideas, or ideas. They're all creative because they come from a creative life source. We get these ideas, we apply emotions to them of some sort, which is water, and then we express them as air, words, or actions, and then a form is created. Our unconscious mind is an earth sign, Virgo. Virgo holds up the lantern high for others to see because Virgo is a teacher. The Virgo goes alone, off into solitude, not for any other reason other than to gather insight and wisdom. And then once that wisdom is gathered, then the hermit comes out, holds the lantern up high for others to see. The colors associated with this hermit, the gray color, is a combination of both the black and the white. Both extremes are met within the hermit. For the hermit is the balance of all of these opposites. It's the balance of the masculine and feminine energies all brought together as this wise being, which means and represents that we are all this wise being. We all have this opportunity to be able to express this wisdom. The question is whether or not we're going to do it. That is the question indeed. So we've made it through the weekend. We've made it through all of the crazy stories of last week. Just to kind of reiterate, we had the story of Awan brothers, which was the big story going on last week. The Awan brothers is probably the biggest case of treason that is happening, has ever happened to the United States of America, and it's happening right now. It involves some brothers and their partners from Pakistan who were working for the DNC party. They worked for as many as 40 or more members of the DNC, during which time they were accessing information and they were sending it from their computers to other computers. Terabytes and terabytes of our information was being sent elsewhere. Not only that, but at times they were logging in to Congress from Pakistan. So our Congress had a direct pipeline to Pakistan where these guys were logging in to the very important servers. They weren't just logging into a website, they were logging in to the back ends of servers where they were able to access information. None of that is right. This is troubling that this has occurred, but it is exactly what has happened. In addition to the Alwan brothers, we've got the situation with Stephen Paddock and the Las Vegas shooting. Of course, you have the police department, which is telling you that this was a lone gunman. They're telling you this because the FBI is pressuring them to do so. When you watch these press conferences, you can see the FBI gentleman just to the rear and to the left of the person doing off to the right hand side. So it'd be the left of the person, the sheriff or the under deputy. You could see him there breathing down their neck, making sure they say all the right things. So we've got a very convoluted case. The lone gunman story is what the narrative is being told by the mainstream media. However, the internet has investigated and has turned up a lot more information alleging that Stephen Paddock was somehow connected with the feds, whether he himself was an undercover Fed or a patsy for the feds or maybe involved with the CIA. One way or another, he seems to have been involved in a deeper way than is just being an average Joe. Okay, he was connected into here. There seems to have been a very bad situation that occurred that could have been much worse had it not been for the supposed actions of the various black ops that were out there to help and assist America. So time will tell as these events continue to unfold. Over the course of the weekend, there was an interviews that were being done by a woman named Laura Loomer. She actually went out to the home where Jesus Campos lives. She discovered that not only was there a personal security guard outside the home protecting the people in the house, but she also discovered that she and her media partner were the only ones that were there to cover this story. You have media personality running around asking, where is Jesus? Where is Jesus? But none of them bothered to go to Jesus's house. When Laura Loomer got there, she found out that there was an undercover federal agent there. And I say federal agent because she questioned him a number of times. The question that he did not answer was when asked if he was somehow connected with the federal agencies, at which point he could not answer, at which point if you're paying attention you could tell that's exactly what he's connected to. And then of course the Harvey Weinstein situation. We have a man who has been committing grievous acts of sexual immorality for years with various actors and actresses throughout Hollywood, some willingly, some unwillingly. Now we have a story that's come to light about all of his problems. It's affected his relationship with his company. They fired him. He apparently is going to try to get something back from his company because he felt that he was wronged in the way he was released. Then you have Meryl Streep, who instantly turned against him, though in the past she has claimed that not only was he a great man, but he was someone she considered her god. You've had a lot of Hollywood that is turning against him. Must be pretty bad that these people are making such a about face with this man when they were so, willing to keep the secrets for such a long period of time. And then, of course, this is extended into the music scene. You have various artists and performers out there speaking about the sexual abuse they went through for years. Kaya Jones, former member of the Pussycat Dolls, is out speaking about the years of abuse that went on throughout that organization, though the organization wants to deny some of these claims as would be expected. More and more women are stepping forward to confirm all of these claims that are made. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Let's kind of move forward into there. One of the persons that spoke out saying he knew nothing about this was Tarantino. So Quentin Tarantino claims he knew nothing about his best friend of 25 years and all of his bad behavior. Really, Quentin? Okay, we've seen the movies you make. We've seen the very depraved scenes that you make, that you've created over and over and over. There's not a chance in the world that you did not know what Harvey was doing because the behavior that you were doing in the films in some ways was just as despicable as what he was doing in real life. There's an article over at Gateway Pundit says Harvey Weinstein may not go down alone. Money trail leads to Michael Moore and Quentin Tarantino. Two guys who have been speaking out against Trump. What do you know about that? On October 5th, the New York Times blew the roof off decades-long open secret in Hollywood that Harvey Weinstein was essentially a sexual predator who preyed on young starlets. Weinstein reportedly paid off several sexual harassment accusers over the years. A tsunami of women have since come forward with horror stories of sexual harassment, sexual abuse by Harvey Weinstein, including A-listers Gwyneth Paltrow and Angelina Jolie. The New Yorker also dropped a bombshell alleging Weinstein raped 3 women. The story dominated Drudge Report headlines in bright red letters. The Wrap reported Weinstein was fired by his board last Sunday. Okay, as the Hollywood sex scandal abuse continues to unfold, more actors and directors are revealed to be implicated. Here we have the story of Robert De Niro, good friends with Harvey Weinstein, remains silent. But if we go, you can find out that Robert De Niro has a charge going back, I think, to 1998 that involved underage girls. Okay, so he's not a very honorable fella as well. Let's see down here. It goes into the Tribeca Grill that Niro owns, where Weinstein comes and carries out some of his bad behavior there. Here we said the money trail leads to Quentin. Says, and it's going to get worse because it won't just be Weinstein's business that suffers. Weinstein's money is tied up in ventures being pursued by Michael Moore, Quentin Tarantino, and Broadway's most recent rising star, Lin-Manuel Miranda of Hamilton. Of course, not a surprise at all that these individuals are involved with despicable activity and somehow connected to Harvey Weinstein, because thugs, criminals, bad people, they seem to stick together. All right, jump in to another story here. Former FBI agent battling Deputy Director McCabe said there is a cancer inside the FBI. Okay, not a surprise, something we are very well aware of. Former FBI supervisory agent Robin Gritz remembers grueling days and long nights tracking terrorist networks and searching for American hostages taken by enemy actors. Her 16-year career resume reads like a Tom Clancy spy novel, and a twist that it's a female FBI agent taking the lead in some of the America's most public terrorism and national security cases. But Gritz is long considered by the people she worked with family, and her life was turned upside down by senior FBI management when she moved up to the ranks in the Bureau. She was one of the Bureau's top intelligence analysts and terrorism experts, but found herself in the crosshairs with some of the Bureau's top officials. One of those officials is current Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, who served as acting FBI Director until he was replaced in July after the confirmation of Christopher Wray. 5 years later, Gritz is still waiting for resolution. In her first on-camera interview about the situation, she described relentless retaliation from her supervisors and alleges last year that her employment left her physically ill. In her formal complaint filed with the U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, she alleges the defamation of character through continued targeting by Andrew McCabe in official documents and continuous patterns and instances of severe and excessive hostile behavior and attitude towards complaint. Neither the FBI nor McCabe would comment on the story. Okay, there's more to the article, and I'll leave that to you. Obviously, no surprise at all that the FBI is behaving badly, because the FBI has, well, they've lost their credibility thanks to Comey, who decided to come along and change the FBI from the Federal Bureau of Investigation to the Federal Bureau of Matters. Of course, what matters to them and not to anybody else. So it's not surprising that we continue to hear these stories of fraudulence within the FBI. And of course, who is dealing with the case that's taking place out in Vegas? The FBI. Who is the FBI agent in charge of the investigation? Somebody that Comey put in place. Is it any surprise then, considering that Comey was a hack, that the appointed person he put in was probably a hack, and this entire investigation is a hatchet job? Is it any surprise? Not really. The FBI blew this one big time. They were involved. People got hurt. And instead of fessing up to it, they're going to continue to cover up more. These are all despicable people who are working against the interests of America. Here's a story. FBI finds 30 pages of Clinton-Lynch Tarmac meeting documents. Remember they said these didn't exist? Well, guess what? They do. Judicial Watch was informed yesterday, this would have been on Thursday, that the U.S. Department of Justice and the FBI has located 30 pages of documents related to the June 27, 2016 Tarmac meeting between Attorney General Loretta Lynch and former President Bill Clinton, and proposes non-exempt material that produced no later than November 30th, 2017. The new documents are being sent to Judicial Watch in response to a Freedom of Information Act filed after the Justice Department failed to comply with the July 7, 2016 Freedom of Information Act request seeking the following. All FD 302 forms prepared pursuant to the FBI investigation of former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton's use of private email server during her tenure. All records of communications between any agent, employee, or representative of the Federal Bureau of Investigation regarding, concerning, or related to the aforementioned investigation. This includes, but is not limited to, any related communication with any official, employee, or representative of the Department of Justice, the Executive Office of the President, the Democratic National Committee, and the President campaign of Hillary Clinton. And finally, all records related to the meeting between Attorney General Lynch and former President Bill Clinton, June 27, 2016 meeting on the Tarmac. The FBI originally informed Judicial Watch that it did not locate any records related to the Tarmac meeting. However, in a related case, the Justice Department located emails in which Justice Department officials communicated with the FBI and wrote that they have communicated with the FBI. As a result, by letter dated August 16th, upon further review, we subsequently determined potentially responsive documents may exist. Okay, so Federal Bureau of Matters had a situation with this that didn't matter to them. And they didn't think it mattered to the people, so the Federal Bureau of Matters decided they weren't going to do anything. But the people have continued to push, and apparently there were documents related to that event, and now they are going to be turned over because people have determined that this situation matters to them, and therefore they may need to take it into their own hands, since the FBI doesn't seem to be dealing with this very appropriately. Switching gears, talking about someone taking matters into their own hands, it looks like that might be exactly the case. Julian Assange, who has been very instrumental in providing information about the Russian hack, about what has been taking place behind the scenes with Hillary Clinton and other members of the DNC, is continuing to tweet out, along with Sean Hannity, some very cryptic messages. T-minus 7 and counting, tick-tock. This came out on the 8th. This was a response to his major tick-tock tweet. The other day, Julian Assange tweeted out what appeared to be a series of codes. Some believe these might be the codes to unlock some sort of dead man's switch or some sort of information that has been locked. You can see the series of keys here. And finally, Hannity responds saying, Hannity said on his radio show, Monday is the day. Actually, someone else, I think Julian probably retweeted that, looks like. So Monday could be the day of something big happening. Here we have Julian Assange tweets out, the U.S. and U.K. governments continuing their attempts at corruption, and Julian Assange, Sean Hannity retweets out, Julian Assange, the one person on earth that would know of alleged Trump-Russia collusion. It's time for Mueller and Justice Department to get info. To which there was a response, no approach from Mueller, Senate, and the House Intel committees, FBI, DOJ, or any other department at any time on this issue. What is one to make of it? That's a good point. They're looking for the answers, but they've yet failed to even talk to this gentleman who claims to have tons of answers. Seems very bizarre that they would ignore that. Julian Assange says something wrong with Hillary Clinton. It's not just her constant lying. It's not just that she throws off menacing glares and seething thwarted entitlement. Watch closely. Something much darker rides along with it. A cold creepiness rarely seen. Very insightful from Julian Assange. So what to make of this? Well, what to make of this is that there are those behind the scenes really pushing to make positive things happen. Julian Assange, one of those. We'll see what happens. Today is Monday. Is today the TikTok day? We shall find out whether or not this is TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. We'll find out soon enough. Okay, George Soros has been named as a person who's involved with trying to destabilize much of what's going on in the world. Here's a resurfaced interview 60 Minutes did in 1998. I'm simply going to make this link available for you so you can go check it out. It's very important interview because you hear in George Soros' own words what he is doing and why he is doing it. Simple. Money. That's all he cares about. Making money. He doesn't care if people get hurt along the way as long as he continues to make money. Okay, you have the left, you have the liberals who are all taking money from this man, George Soros, who actually was involved working with Hitler, and yet the left, the liberals, they ignore this whole aspect while claiming Donald Trump is Hitler-like. Yet the very man that they're taking money from actually worked with Hitler and did evil biddings and doings for Hitler. So the left is really misinformed about what's going on, which is unfortunate, but that seems to be par for the course with them, continuing to be misinformed. All right, let's jump over here. Book of Revelation. I wanted to give a little bit of an analysis. I was speaking to a friend over the course of the weekend. We were talking about where we were in the timeline, and I explained to him I believe that the book of Revelation is a timeline, a script that we are following. And if we are able to look at this script, we might be able to see and get an idea where we are within this timeline so that we can be more effective with what we're doing here. So let's just take a look through this book, see what we find out. Starting off with Revelation 12, we have the woman and the dragon. This was the sign of a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, a crown of 12 stars on her head. She was pregnant, cried out in pain, about to give birth. Okay, this here is significant because we can date this time to about the 23rd of September, because that's what this 23rd date was really pointing out. These alignments in the sky. There was a number of things, but one of them was an alignment in the sky that people felt were connected to Revelation 12. Okay, so we have this alignment. So if we were to look at a script and we were to see that the different planets and stars and around us were giving us a clue to where we are, then I would say we're right in this area here. Okay, we go a little further. It says a war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought the dragon. The dragon angels fought back, but he's not strong enough. They lost their place in heaven, and the great dragon was hurled down. The devil, or Satan, who leads the whole world astray, he was hurled to earth and his angels with him. Okay, so here's where we are. We're dealing with a situation where there is this moment of this evil on earth that is fighting. As we go through, we see more and more darkness and bad guys coming forward that are being given power by the beast to go out and to destroy. Okay, we get to Revelation 15, and we have here something which I feel is significant. A second angel followed by fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries. Well, when I see this, I think of Hollywood Babylon. Okay, so Hollywood Babylon is now in a bit of a problem. So it kind of lets me know that somewhere within this area is what we are looking at. We have a harvesting. We had the harvest festival that just took place. The large amount of injuries and destruction that took place there. And here we have now the pouring upon of plagues, the various trumpets that are blasting as these plagues continue to get released. So where are we in all of this? Well, we certainly haven't completed, but we are in the midst of all that is taking place here. We are in the midst of this judgment, because if we were to follow the storyline and match it up with our current events, then we are in the point in time where judgments are being poured upon those who are creating problems upon the earth. Judgments have been issued and wrath is being poured out. Now, many people get afraid when they hear about this, saying, oh, no, they don't want there to be any problems. They don't want things to break apart, to fall apart. Guess what? The world is in a situation where it has to evolve, or it's not going to survive the phase that it's in, with humanity continuing to do the same things humanity is doing. So we need to evolve past this. We need to allow things to break apart, because when things fall apart, then there's the opportunity to rebuild. And the stronger the foundation, the easier it is to rebuild. I think we have a pretty solid foundation going on. There's a lot of good people who are really open and wanting to bring God down into the earth, and that is really helpful to our situation. If we think back to the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, and if we think how things move in cycles, back during that cycle, the question was asked, if there's 50 good people, will you keep from destroying the city? Yes. 40, 30, 20, all the way down to 1. If there's one good person, the city will not be destroyed. But yet there was not a good person found, and so the city was destroyed. However, I truly believe in 2017, if that same question was asked, it would be determined that there are a lot of good people. Therefore, we have become our own salvation, because we have listened to the words of those who have come before us. We've listened to the words of Jesus Christ. We've studied the words and the writings that God has left for us. We've read the words of the various prophets and wise teachers who have shown us how to live. And therefore, we've come to this time where there are a lot of good people who are not engaged in debaucherous acts, in debaucherous ways. Now, those debaucherous ways are only getting their attention and continuing to evolve because people are allowing them to. But now that people, like, for example, in Hollywood, now that people have decided this behavior is no longer acceptable, now it's getting dealt with. And that's where we're at. There needs to be this cleansing. We cannot avoid it. All we can do is just stay strong in God, stay strong in our belief and faithfulness that we're doing the right thing, and just keep going into the world with this kind of faith, because it is so significant and important to our lives of what's happening. Okay, so that's where I kind of think we're at in terms of revelation and timelines. And finally, I want to take a quick look at the pattern on the Trestleboard, read these 10 points. Pattern on the Trestleboard, truth of the self. This you can find over at Builders of the Adytum. 0, all the power that ever was or will be is here now. 1, I am a center of expression for the primal will to good which eternally creates and sustains the universe. 2, through me its unfailing wisdom takes form in thought and word. 3, filled with understanding of its perfect law, I am guided moment by moment along the path of liberation. 4, from the exhaustless riches of its limitless substance I draw all things needful, both spiritual and material. 5, I recognize the manifestation of the undeviating justice in all the circumstances of my life. 6, in all things great and small, I see the beauty of the divine expression. 7, living from that will, supported by its unfailing wisdom and understanding, mine is the victorious life. 8, I look forward with confidence to the perfect realization and eternal splendor of limitless light. 9, in thought and word and deed, I rest my life from day to day upon the sure foundation of eternal being. And 10, the kingdom of spirit is embodied in my flesh. And as where we are, my friends, we are the flesh and the spirit is within us. So Heavenly Father, Heavenly Mother, I pray this day that we are strong enough to allow the spirit to shine bright in the world today. Let that be enough that we can bring healing to the planet. Amen. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Till then, I love you. Keep loving each other, and I will talk to you soon. Peace. I am out of here.
First contact with Joshua Burt.